atmosphere. It's not something every game can achieve flawlessly. In fact, it's not even something some games can achieve at all. Now, some games are not Metroid Prime. What's up, everybody? This is Dom from Echo's World. Today I'm going to be telling you about another game that I think is just great. Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime is a game all about immersion. It's about atmosphere, world building, everything. And I'm going to be telling you all about that in 4 key points. One is, obviously, the gameplay and the world, the music and the atmosphere, a little bit the story, it's a kind of a weaker one, and then the arsenal, which helps you really become Samus. So let's just go right to it. Metroid Prime at its core is about 4 different genres compiled together into one. It's a bit of a platformer, for one thing. You gotta do some jumping, there's a lot of precise things, parkour. It's also got a lot of action-adventure to it, as for being a first-person shooter, which is our next one. There's a lot of fighting creatures, and just exploration. See, Metroid Prime's whole thing is world building. It achieves that by being a first-person shooter, so it puts you in the eyes of Samus. You are the one who's exploring the world, you're the one who's going out and adventuring. This is your adventure. It achieves that by its fantastic level design. See, like Celeste, it's got key areas. Unlike Celeste, these are not levels, these are just areas that are all interconnected. These 5 key areas, along with one sub-6 that we're not really going to talk about today, are as follows. Tallon Overworld, the lush starting overworld of Tallon IV, Chozo Ruins, an ancient ruined place, very sandy, Magmor Caverns, a lava-based cave system, Phendrana Drifts, an ice wasteland with a research facility placed in the middle of it, and then Phazon Mines, an artificial hollowed-out part of the planet which is specifically for mining. Out of the 5 areas, I think one does world building just a bit better than the rest. Chozo Ruins. See, Chozo Ruins, when you first get there, you can tell that this is an ancient place. There's symbols on the walls, there's things for you to scan that tell you about the lore, there's bugs hidden in the sand, there's wasps on the walls. It just feels like an ancient place that used to inhabit an ancient civilization. Chozo Ruins also has the sanctuary part of it, kind of like this very sacred part of the ruins, where when you first enter, you're met with some Chozo ghosts, which are admittedly not your friend. The main thing that really makes it feel like a ruins is like the crumbled platforms, the sand, just broken down things, lush environments, overgrowth. It's built as if something was once here, but now there's nothing. Each of the other 4 areas also get world building done amazingly. I just wanted to really highlight one of them. Now, of course, Metroid Prime wouldn't be complete without its vast list of creatures. There are so many creatures. In fact, there's roughly about 80 different creatures in the game. Check my math. Each creature fits its role really, really well. For example, in Tallon Overworld, you've got gel sacks, you've got living plants, you've got little creatures, prey that have evolved defenses, or in Phendrana Drifts, you have predators, you have little ice-based creatures. Magmor Caverns has fire-based creatures and like kind of poisonous gas-based creatures. Each creature fits its role perfectly and helps enhance the world that much more. Now, there are admittedly 2 categories of creatures that hinder the game more than help. Yes, they help enhance the world, but they also slow the game down. The first one, I think, is agreed by most people, the space pirates. In Phendrana, you fight waves and waves of space pirates through each room of the facility. Now, that's only just one part of Phendrana, but it's a decent chunk. There's still like a bunch of Phendrana to explore, but there's like a decent chunk that's just space pirates. You get to Phazon Mines, where there's only 2 types of enemies. There's Metroids in Phazon Mines. The rest is just space pirates. It's just space pirates the entire time. They're a tedious creature to fight, and they just slow the pacing down. The other one that I personally think slows the pacing down, the Chozo Ghost. The only way to kill them is with the Power Beam and Power Beam-based weapons such as the Charge Beam, missiles, and the Super Missile. Every other weapon you have in your arsenal is completely useless against them. Admittedly, they do get a lot easier once you get the X-ray visor, but before you get the X-ray visor, they also slow the game down by a lot. Despite that, the game still builds an amazing world. It places you in it perfectly by making you look through Samus's eyes. When you kill some creatures, the goose splatters on her face. There's some rooms that when you go through them, vapor fogs up your visor. There's some enemies that will like shut down your visor for a few seconds. Fighting ghosts makes Samus flinch. Fighting other things makes Samus flinch. You feel like Samus. You feel like you are playing as her, and I think the game does that perfectly. While the game's level design may place you in the world well, it would be nothing without this game's soundtrack. Absolutely nothing. See, each theme is meticulously crafted for each section of each area. Each area has multiple themes to it. For example, Phendrana Drifts. Each area of Phendrana has its own theme. The main portion of Phendrana has the original Phendrana theme. There's a smaller version of that in the entryway. There's the research facility theme along with the space pirate battle. And then there's also the Phendrana Depths theme, which is a beautiful theme, let me just say. Another theme that I think just really slaps is Magmoor Caverns. Let me key you guys in on a little secret. The Magmoor Caverns theme, it's just a re-rendition of Lower Norfair. And there's another secret. In the game Metroid Samus Returns, the theme comes back again. Now there's some parts of the game where, not just because of the levels, but because of the music, you feel like you're in a horror game. One of those areas I think that really gets that right is Phazon Mines. There's a whole section where you have to go from one save point all the way down to another, no save points in between, where you gotta be ready to fight space pirates. Lights go off, you might have to fight an elite pirate in there. There's Phazon, it's super creepy, super tense, it scares you. Feels like a horror game. Pretty much all of Phazon Mines is like that, let's be real here. Phazon Mines is scary. See, that's the thing about Metroid Prime. While Celeste may have story-driven music, Metroid Prime's got atmosphere right. See, Celeste has that music-to-scene style. Metroid Prime has music-to-world. They're different, but they each work for what they're going for. See, the genius behind Metroid Prime's music was Kenji Yamamoto. He is a really amazing composer at Nintendo. He's been in charge of a vast majority of Metroid soundtracks across the series, along with the Donkey Kong Country games as well. He's the one that really fine-tuned the atmosphere of the game. Now, while the atmosphere is such a big part of the game, there is still a story going on. It's not great. It's not the best story ever. But there is a story, so I'm here to tell you it. As always, spoiler warning. Long before you arrived on Tallon IV, a race called the Chozo called Tallon IV home. Now, it's not all the Chozo. I believe the Chozo homeworld was planet Zebes, which is where Samus Aran originates from. But we're not talking about the entire Metroid timeline. No. Just Metroid Prime. They called Tallon IV home for the longest time, up until this super meteor called the Leviathan, learned that in Metroid Prime 3, crashed into the planet, bringing about a great poison known as Phazon. Phazon is a deadly, hyper-radioactive substance that is capable of mutating life forms to an astronomical degree. The Chozo were able to contain it, but not well. They got it underground, for the most part, but it still seeped into the landscape. It changed the life forms. It changed the Chozo. It killed the Chozo, actually. A lot of the Chozo did leave, but a lot of them died. And the ones that died, their ghosts were altered too. Hence why there's Chozo ghosts. They are mutated, angry versions of ghosts. And you gotta fight a lot of them. Much later, space pirates found Tallon IV and found Phazon. They realized the potential for Phazon and its radioactive and hypermutative capabilities, so they began mining. They also found Metroids. See, the thing about space pirates is, throughout the entire Metroid series, space pirates always want the Metroids. It's kind of their thing. Space pirates decided, because they're space pirates, start researching a lot of the life forms on Tallon IV as well, and figuring out how they can mutate them with Phazon. Thus, they created the frigate Orpheon to orbit Tallon IV. Now, after some time, a lot of the things did not go well with Phazon, and they kind of escaped and took over the frigate Orphean. And so the last remaining space pirates sent out a distress signal, which none other than our good friend Samus Aran caught wind of. She, after having blown up planet Zebes for like the billionth time, decided, I'm not doing anything, let's go see what this is about. So she hops aboard the frigate Orphean and fights some bugs and then blows up the frigate Orphean. Kinda has a knack for blowing up big things. Well, our good friend Meta Ridley, who is enhanced from the last time we saw him in another Metroid game. I told myself I wasn't going to talk about previous Metroid games in the Metroid timeline, but here we are doing it anyway for context reasons. That's fine. So Samus sees Meta Ridley and she's like, alright, I've got a vendetta, I'm gonna get him. No Ridleys ever. Meta Ridley leaves and he goes down to Tallon IV, and the frigate blows up, and Samus kind of gets caught in it a little bit, and she kind of loses all her upgrades. Don't worry, this happens at the beginning of like every single Metroid game. She heads down to Tallon IV. That's where the game begins. Throughout, she explores different areas, which I previously laid out. The Chozo Ruins, Fendrana Drifts. She collects upgrades. She collects her various suit. She gets her missiles back. She gets pretty much all this cool stuff that we're going to talk about in a bit. Eventually, she finds her way down to the Phazon Mines. That's where she really starts learning what's going on. She learns more about what the space pirates are doing here. And she realizes that they're doing a lot of testing with the Phazon. For example, they've made a lot of elite pirates with Phazon, mutated versions of pirates with enhanced weaponry, specifically designed to fight Samus. They've altered Metroids, they've altered other creatures, but the biggest one is one space pirate. They call him the Omega Pirate. The Omega Pirate is kind of the ultimate Phazon test. It's got a cloaking device, it's got cannons, it's got crazy things. But you being Samus, you kill it anyway. See, once you kill it, it kind of teeters back and forth a bit, then it falls on Samus, and a lot of Phazon bubbles out of that. That Phazon, being Phazon, it infects the Varia suit, but in a good way. It gets inside of it, and actually the Varia suit and the Phazon work in tandem to create the Phazon suit, which allows Samus to be completely immune to the effects of Phazon, and actually allows her to use Phazon to her advantage. After getting the Phazon suit, Samus learns of the Impact Crater, the sixth and final area, where all the Phazon is localized, where just everything is, where this can finally end, and she can get out of here. She realizes she needs 12 Chozo artifacts to get inside, because the Chozo did not want the Phazon getting out. This was their last-ditch effort. So once she collects all 12, she heads to the Chozo Sanctuary in Tallon Overworld, and she's about to go down, and then, oh no, Meta Ridley is back. This is where you get to fight Meta Ridley. It's just a good fight. I'm not going to spoil it. Just fight Meta Ridley. After that, Samus heads down to the Impact Crater, where she finds a bunch of red Phazon, which... the red Phazon hurts. In the final room of the Impact Crater, Samus finds the Metroid Prime, a super enhanced Phazon Metroid. It's the final boss. After the fight with the Metroid Prime, in a last-ditch effort to survive, it latches on to Samus and takes the Phazon suit. It doesn't quite survive, and the whole planet blows up. Luckily, Samus gets out of there. Now, something cool you get to see if you 100% complete the game, all collectibles, all scans, everything, is one final scene. A hand bursts out of the Metroid's corpse with an eye on it, hinting at the rise of Dark Samus. And Metroid Prime 2. Sequel, baby. See, it's not some deep story like Celeste. It's just a fun adventure story to help drive the Metroid timeline. That's all it really is. The game's not story-driven. It's world-driven. It's atmosphere-driven. So it's not a big thing, but it's there, and it helps tie loose ends of the world together. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video is Samus's arsenal. There is a lot. See, in Celeste, it was just 4 mechanics and some collectibles. This game is not the same. This game, there's an arm cannon, there's missiles, there's a whole morph ball, there's different visors. Let's go through them. Starting off, we have the beam weapons. There's 4 of them. Each one of them has their own thing. There's the power beam, which is the most basic one. It's just kind of energy. Not super powerful. Then there's the wave beam, an electric-based one. There's the ice beam. Then there's the plasma beam, which is a fire-based beam weapon. Short range, but it's the most powerful of the 4. especially if you're in Phendrana Drifts. Then there's also the Charge Beam. Now it, in of itself, is not a beam weapon. Instead, it's an upgrade to the other 4 beam weapons. See, the Charge Beam takes whatever beam you're using, and when you hold down, it charges and then shoots a big, more powerful version of that said beam weapon. Samus can also use missiles. They're missiles. Along with the beams and the missiles, there's also super missiles and the missile combos. These combine the Charge Beam and regular missiles into a super duper powerful missile. There's the Super Missile, there's the Wave Buster, the Ice Spreader, and the Flamethrower. Each one of them is great, and I think you guys will have a grand time using them. Another super key part of Samus's arsenal is her Morph Ball form. This is where Samus transforms into a ball and rolls around. Morph Ball portions of the game are pretty darn fun parts of the game. There's rooms specifically designed to be a Morph Ball. There's also the Morph Ball Bomb, which it's a bomb dropped by the Morph Ball. There's the Boost Ball, which is an upgrade to the Morph Ball that allows you to just boost around. Then there's the Power Bomb. The Power Bomb, compared to the Morph Ball Bomb, is like a nuke compared to a stick of dynamite. The Power Bomb's fun, but you only have a limited amount of them. The last thing in her arsenal is the visors. There's about 4 of them, just like the beams. There's the Combat Visor, which is your most basic visor. It allows you to just see. There's the Scan Visor, which is the only visor you cannot attack in. Instead, you use it to scan enemies, learn about the world. There's a lot of things you can do with the Scan Visor. There's the Thermal Visor, which instead of seeing normal colors, you see things based on heat signatures. And then finally, there's the X-Ray Visor, which allows you to see things that the normal human eye cannot see. Metroid Prime is just, in all, a great game if you're looking for a game that's atmosphere-based, it's world-building based. If you're looking for a game that's gonna make you angry, but you're gonna love the story, go play Celeste. Go watch my Celeste video. If you're looking for a game where you can just kill a bunch of things with no remorse, go play Doom, I think. But if you're looking for a game with a lot of alien technology, with a lot of alternate forms of attack, and alternate ways to explore, Metroid Prime is your game, because it will immerse you in its world, it'll immerse you in its music, and you're gonna have a fun time playing with the weapons. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's another one of those videos that I put a lot of time into. I think this is the type of video that I'm going to be spending a lot of time on my channel, because I enjoy making these and I enjoy showing you guys the very best I can make. Also, one quick thing, as you can see, I'm not in my basement anymore. I'm in my room now. So, this is the studio you should expect to see up until August or September, until when I get my own apartment. Stay tuned for more videos. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you did not like the video, hit the dislike button. Either way, it supports my channel. And leave a comment down below, you know, for the algorithm. And hit that bell if you really enjoy my content and you want to see more, because that'll tell you every time I upload a video. Which, let's just look at my recent upload schedule. Let's just look at my recent upload schedule. As of recording right now, we have 7 months ago, 5 months ago, 2 months ago, and 6 hours ago. So that should give you some indication of my consistency. It doesn't exist. I'm Dom from Echoes World. I'll catch you guys later.